Hello everyone, welcome back to a new haul video. Today is going to be a rather large update because it's going to be encompassing all the things I got in February, March, and April. As the months and the days went on, I just decided to kind of keep putting it off until I had just a massive haul for everyone to enjoy, including myself, of course. And this is going to encompass all the movies and comic book related things that I got over the last 3 months, and it is quite a lot because there were several sales when it came to certain labels that put out a lot of the Blu-rays that I buy, so it's going to be really exciting to share this with you all. First up here is all of the comic book related stuff. First up is a pair of Shazam Comics, and this is from DC's new kind of line that they're doing, or DC's new reboot of whatever, and it is Shazam number 1 of Future State and Shazam number 2 of Future State. It's really interesting to see how they and Marvel kind of just start over from scratch and rebrand every few years. But speaking of Marvel, here are some books. This is New Mutants number 15. I apologize for the glare. And here is X-Men 17. Here is X-Factor number 7. And then here is X-Men number 18. And here is X-Men Legends number 1. And then we have New Mutants 16. Now we have 2 from Boom Studios, and this is Firefly number 25. And then we have Firefly number 26. But that is not all that I got when it came to comic books. There are 2 trades that I picked up. First up here is one that's actually kind of out of print. Actually, I think it is out of print. And I was lucky to find that at my local comic book store for just cover price. No accelerated price, no overprice, nothing like that. And this is Dark Knight Detective Volume 1. And this is really interesting because this goes right along with Batman Caped Crusader volumes that I picked up recently. This is in that same era, that same post, Crisis on Infinite Earths era. Basically, the late 80s and early 90s, that era of Batman comic books when it comes to the continuity of things. And I'm really glad to pick this up because this is going for a pretty significant price over market on eBay, so luckily I was able to get this volume 1. I still have to track down the other volumes for not only this, but for Batman the Caped Crusader, but little progress is better than no progress. And then lastly here is a rather oversized hardcover, and this is Invincible Ultimate Collection Volume 1. There is a new animated series based on this comic book on Amazon right now, and it just wrapped up its first season, and a lot of people are talking about it. So I wanted to read the comics before I watched the series, so that's what I'm going to do. There are 12 of these volumes, or there are 3 kind of large paperback compendiums that encompass the whole series. So you can kind of read it any way you prefer. I just really love having these oversized hardcovers because they're nice and sturdy, they look great on the shelf, and the paper quality tends to be better, and it is kind of more expensive in the long run, but they do look very, very nice. Okay, now to dive into all of the movies that I picked up. There's going to be quite a lot here, so please bear with me. I'll go through it as fast as I can, and hopefully I tracked everything down. So first up here is a Blu-ray put out by Paramount, and this is Small Soldiers. And this is a film by Joe Dante. This was a film that I watched a lot as a child. I really just absolutely loved it, and just rewatching it was a nice trip down kind of nostalgia lane for me. Next up is a re-release. I own this movie actually twice already. This will be the 3rd time. And this is Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And this is the new kind of like corrected version. This is actually done with the the proper color timing that Zack Snyder preferred for the film. Apparently, the original 4K UHD release had the wrong color timing on it and stuff. And this also has like restored IMAX scenes as well. Next up here is talk about Blast from the Past. For me, this is Accepted. This is a comedy from the mid-2000s that I actually really liked. And it's something that I just really enjoyed revisiting. Came out around 2006 when I was not even 20 years old yet. That's how old this movie is for me. Next is a kind of upgrade in several different ways, and this is Marlon Brando starring in The Wild One. This is the Indicator release, and this is so much better than the release that we got here, especially when it comes to the special features. Lots of great special features on here. The one that we got here that I think was put out by Mill Creek Entertainment had no special features at all, so that in and of itself was worth a rebuy for me. So next up here are relative blind buys for me. I'm aware of the series, but I don't really know anything about it, and that's the Ultraman series. And I have the first one here called Ultra Q. And I really like these thicker sets that are put out by Mill Creek. They also come with a booklet as well, which is kind of cool. And I'm just really curious. I just did a review for the Showa era Criterion Collection Godzilla set, and so I really like kaiju and that Japanese monster film, so why not a series about it? And next up is the Ultraman series as well. There are several different series and iterations of this, and it went on for decades. And it's going straight through to today when it comes to movies and all that kind of stuff. It's a full-fledged franchise a la Godzilla, and I don't know anything about it, so please educate me if you know more about these things than I do. So next up here is one of the largest and probably most important things that I picked up during this time period, and this is the complete films of Agnes Varda, and this is from the Criterion Collection. Essentially what happened is they had a flash sale, and I had a bunch of coupons that I just hadn't used yet, so I was able to apply all of them to this. So I got this for a wonderful, great deal of a price that I would never get in any other regard. So I decided to pick this up because I wanted this set so much, and I had been putting it off until the right time, and it just happened to be the right time, and it's a wonderful compact set, and this is definitely one that I'll be diving into in more detail at some point in the future. And speaking of larger sets, and speaking of other flash sales, Indicator decided to have a flash sale, and I picked up two things. I picked up Hammer Volume 5, Death and Deceit, because I'm trying to get all of the Hammer sets. I have 2, 3, 4, and 5. 6 just got announced recently that it is going to come out, so I have to get that one. 1 still remains an enigma for me, but I'll track it down someday. But I'm glad to actually have this because they all look really fantastic on the shelf, and Indicator right now is just soaring when it comes to putting out really fantastic releases. Just, you really get your money's worth with all of these. And to go along with a video that I did recently here on the channel, when I did the review for William Castle at Columbia Volume 1, here is the William Castle at Columbia Volume 2 set that I think I mentioned during that review, and I had to get this right away because I didn't want it to sell out. As those of you who are aware of Indicator, each of these larger box sets are limited to about 6,000 copies, and once they're gone, and you kind of have to either buy the non-special edition individual releases of these films, or you pay top dollar on eBay for them. So next up here are a bunch of releases from Keno Lorber Studio Classics, because Keno Lorber had their March Madness sale that ran until, like, I believe the first week or two of April, and I decided to pick up a couple of their releases, well, 5 of them. First up here are a pair of films by Billy Wilder, and first is 5 Graves to Cairo, and then secondly is A Foreign Affair. And the reason why I picked these up is honestly the casts. I think the casts are great. Specifically this film here. I love Jean Arthur. I love Marlena Dietrich. And this film here starred Franchot Tone and Ann Baxter. And I actually really enjoyed these films. And I had to add more films to my Billy Wilder section, so why not? And then the next two films are both films directed by Douglas Sirk. I am a big Douglas Sirk fan and just needed more of his films in my collection. First up here is There's Always Tomorrow. Both of these films star Barbara Stanwyck, by the way. And then next is All I Desire. And most of these don't have much in the way of special features, mostly just audio commentaries, and I think only one of these films is actually touted as having a brand new 4K master, and that is Five Graves to Cairo. This has a new 4K master. The others don't really say, but they're serviceable and they're good transfers on these. And lastly, when it comes to releases, is something that I've been wanting for several months now. And I actually bought this twice on Amazon, and they both came damaged, so I had to return them both times. And this is Cary Grant Collection, and this has 3 of his films. It has A Lady Should Listen, Wedding Present, and Big Brown Eyes. And these are all films he did in the mid-30s, 1934, 1936, and 1936. So these are around the era where Cary Grant is just starting to show his Cary Grant persona on screen. You know, the one that people will come to know and love basically forever, or at least until now. And these 3 films, I rather enjoyed watching. They're okay films. I don't think they're truly spectacular in any way. There's nothing really to write home about when it comes to the transfers. They're all serviceable. There's nothing on here when it comes to them being from a new 4K or 2K remaster or anything like that. And for the special features, there are very little. There's just, I believe, a couple of commentaries, and that's about it. So that's all from Keno Lorber Studio Classics. Next up are just a couple of 4K UHD releases that I picked up. One is Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I picked this up because I was doing a rewatch of all of the modern American versions of the Godzilla films, and I realized I didn't have this one yet, so I decided to pick this up. I was doing that rewatch to lead up until Godzilla vs. King Kong. So next up is another 4K Ultra HD release, but it also comes with the 3D Blu-ray, which is a little bit defunct nowadays, and this is Alita Battle Angel by Robert Rodriguez. This is a film I kind of rather enjoy. Amazing, just kind of visual spectacle, if anything. And next up is an actual Blu-ray re-release, but it's a bit of an upgrade from a previous Blu-ray that I actually didn't have at all. And this is the Keno Lorber Studio Classics edition of Play Misty for Me, the film starring the late Jessica Walter as well as Clint Eastwood, and this has a brand new 2K master. It also has a wealth of special features, which is kind of really why I wanted it, and also just to honor the late, great Jessica Walter in general. Next up is something that I've wanted to add to my collection for several years, and this is the Digibook version of Pillow Talk starring Rock Hudson and Doris Day. And this came out several years ago, and it was fortunately very cheap on Amazon as of right now. Unfortunately, it came a little bit beat up, or at least more beat up than I prefer when it comes to digibooks or just quality in general. But for the price I paid, I kind of don't mind. I really love this movie. I love the team up between Rock Hudson and Doris Day. They did 3 films. The other 2 I still need to get, so I can complete that collection. I know they sell a complete Doris Day and Rock Hudson collection, but I wanted to get the individual releases. And then next up is a Warner Archive release, and I'm showing this one first before I show these others here, because there's a reason. But first up here is another Thin Man. This is the 3rd film in the Thin Man series, so they are about halfway done with releasing all of the Thin Man films on Blu-ray. Hopefully they do get the rest of the films out there, and the reason why I bring that up is because recently Warner Archive was having their final 4 for $44 sale on the WB Shop website. And what I mean by final is that they basically shut down the website, and basically Warner Archive kind of moved over shop to Amazon. And the reason why I mention that is because what held up this video for as long as it did, to the point where I was just like, hey, I might as well just do it for the whole month of April, is this stack of movies here. I ordered these on March 15th, and they didn't ship out until April 16th. It took a month just for these to ship out, so I had to wait forever for them. And I picked up 7 titles from that final Warner Archive sale, and that's why I'm saving this one for last, because it gave me the most grief. First up here is the Tex Avery Screwball Classics Volume 1. These are just, you know, a series of the Tex Avery cartoons. This is stuff that I, of course, grew up with on reruns and stuff like that. There is a Volume 2, which I really want to get as well. Definitely check this out if you're interested in the old animation. The next up is After the Thin Man, which is the second Thin Man film. So I showed the third Thin Man film first because I actually pre-ordered that from Amazon, and I got it like right after I got this one. So this is After the Thin Man, the second film in the Thin Man series. The Thin Man series stars William Powell and Myrna Loy, probably one of the best on-screen couples of all time. Their chemistry was just pure magic. Absolute pure magic. And they starred in 6 of these films, plus a couple of other films outside of the Thin Man series. Speaking of William Powell and Myrna Loy, here's one of those ones outside of the Thin Man series, and this is Libeled Lady, also starring Jean Harlow and Spencer Tracy. I love Jean Harlow and I love Spencer Tracy. I love this whole cast. I love this movie. So I had to get this during that sale. If you haven't seen Libeled Lady, check it out. It's a great, great film. And then next is The Bad and the Beautiful, starring Lana Turner, Kirk Douglas, Walter Pidgeon, Dick Powell. Talk about another great cast. And yeah, this is a great film about Hollywood and the world of movie making, and that's stuff I really do enjoy. And next is some Hammer horror, and this is The Curse of Frankenstein, starring, of course, Christopher Lee, as well as Peter Cushing as Dr. Frankenstein. And this is a 2-disc special edition set, and I've been waiting years for this film to get released here in the States. There are a series of Frankenstein Hammer films, and this is the first one. So this is where you start when it comes to the Hammer horror Frankenstein films. And the next up here is actually a DVD to Blu-ray upgrade for me, and this is the Blake Edwards film Days of Wine and Roses, starring Jack Lemmon and Lee Remick, and this film will destroy you. This film will rip your heart out. It is a really sad and bleak film dealing with just the, you know, awfulness that is alcoholism and addiction and stuff like that, and it's a really harrowing film, but truly, truly fantastic. If you only know Jack Lemmon for his comedic work, this is just fantastic dramatic work from him. And lastly, but certainly not least, is a film starring my favorite actor of all time in Paul Newman, and this is a Coen Brothers film, which also stars Tim Robbins and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and this is The Hudsucker Proxy. And this is one of their films that came out in the 90s that kind of gets lost. It gets lost in the fact that it came out in the midst of like Barton Fink and Fargo and The Big Lebowski, and it just gets lost. So I'm glad to finally add to the collection. This is actually a Warner Archive Blu-ray that's been out for a number of years. This was back before Warner Archive kind of blew up to what it is known now when it comes to putting out Blu-rays. So I'm really glad to have it in the collection. Also, I'm trying to get every single Paul Newman film in my collection, so I needed this one. That is the entire update, I think. I don't know if I left out some stuff. I really hope I didn't, but if I did, I apologize for that. But I hope you enjoy this video, and if you have any questions or if you want to see things in any more detail, please let me know in the comments below. And also, if you like this video, please check out the other videos in my channel and subscribe.